Welcome back to segment 3 of episode 18. We're going to hit the lightning round. So Ash, I'm seeing more and more of what's called paid distribution. People promoting other people's content in line with their own. As a content creator, how do you feel about promoting someone else's content in with your own content?
Personally, I don't mind. I've always said content's not a zero-sum game. A few years ago, Current TV, another video content producer, advertised on WatchMojo. Didn't object. I thought it was even good validation, and that was like a direct deal. It wasn't even through one of these, aggregation, intermediary, outbrain kind of, solutions. 2, at my old company, AskMen, we had Maxim that wanted to run ads on our site. We had Playboy that wanted to run ads on our site. In those cases, we actually passed, but for a very different reason, because we felt that those companies should just acquire AskMen. So it was more of a strategic decision. Now, where I think I also want to point out is this has always happened, in my opinion, where Spring's go-to Overture, Google text links, not always promoting e-commerce. Sometimes text links promote content. So it's the same in that sense. What is different is that, you have this widget at the bottom that, let's say, on New York Times might link to, I'm sure if New York Times would add this, would they allow Huffington Post to advertise? Probably not, because they hate one another. But would they really, really care if the Wall Street Journal, for example, that also probably they would care. But would they care if the New Yorker, would they care if, the Miami, Times or something? That's it. I'm just saying it's case by case. But if there's not a background strategic friction reason, competitive reason, I don't think that many content providers care, because content providers ultimately, even in the editorial, link out sometimes to other content providers. So in this case, somebody wants to advertise, you might not really object.
I think a text link has much less of an impact than an actual, thumbnail and mixed it in with your related content. For the most part, I agree with you.
Next question, what's the deal with Facebook memology?
Okay, so Facebook recently put out, they do this every year, they gave a rundown of everything that was trending on Facebook by country and blah, 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 blah. What I really think this is one, it's an answer to Google Zeitgeist. And what's the point of Google Zeitgeist every year? Is to remind the business world that we have all this data and we can help you market things better. So in that case, I think it's kind of a B2B PR move. And
all of your data belong to us, Okay.
Something like that. Especially as they get closer to going public and they start developing new ad models, they just want to send out another reminder that we have all this data and we can help you target people better. But for the most part, marketing buzz.
All right, next question.
Okay.
Why did Will Ferrell do these old Milwaukee ads?
Well, I'm not a psychic. I don't actually know.
I know. No, I'm kidding.
You know?
I have my theory.
I think it's kind of two things. One, he probably wants a little bit more back into the spotlight. Like, it's been a while since he's done anything like Talladega Nights. He's more involved now with just doing weird small spots or small cameos, funny or die stuff. So I think he wants to make a splash and remind the world that he's still out there. But 2, I actually think it's kind of like an artistic, creative move. It's like so far he's never, he's done some funny stuff, but he's never done anything that was really weird and awkward. And I kind of see him experimenting here.
He's never done anything that's weird and awkward?
Okay, well, aside from
taking off his shirt in every SNL skit. Hello, running naked. Anyway, just...
I mean outside of actually being on stage.
Coming out of between a woman's thighs, pretending to be a baby. Okay, I'm sorry.
But it's nothing that he's going to go down in history for. I see this almost as an Andy Warhol kind of move.
Okay, I have my own theory, and this is where I'm actually going to wear the cynical hat. I think this was stemmed from Funny or Die. That they said, the same way that the Old Spice really had the funny thing, but that was somewhat of an unknown, they're like, if we could show that we could take a stale brand and bring it into the forefront, then we could start to go up and charge gazillions of dollars to charge brands to promote them and bring them into the limelight. And they just said, let's just do something with a brand like Old Milwaukee that is still well known, but perceived maybe in a negative light. Now that's very cynical. Maybe he doesn't care about that, but he didn't charge. But I actually think this was like, the Funny or Die, they're sitting in a boardroom and they're like, we keep putting in these big deals to do these quirky things for brand X, brand A, brand C, whatever, and we never get it. And Will's like, screw it, this is what we're going to do. Not that he's sitting there with the sales guys, but more or less. Anyway, that's my theory. All right, next question.
All right, so Koala founders, they've sold to Facebook.
I don't know if it's allegedly or it's official, but yeah, basically.
I thought it was official.
It is official.
Apparently, they cut us, or they're rumored to have cut a side deal with the Facebook guys and cutting out their own investors. What do you think about
Okay,
that?
no, this is what happens sometimes. More and more, when you have an acquirer, which is like you're acquiring the talent, basically, you don't care about the assets. Literally here, just to name the parts, Facebook goes up to the Goala guys and says, so you guys are getting your ass kicked by Foursquare. You have no real traction. You've pivoted 14 times. So we don't really want to buy Goala for Goala. We want to buy Goala just to get you and your team, or you and your founder, or whatever, 8 of your employees, and we want you to kill Goala. We don't care about any of the assets. We just want you to come and work on Facebook Places, let's say, for example. Facebook events or Facebook Places, whatever product that they want to, go fight against Foursquare. So it's easier for them to say, we're going to buy Goala for like 10 cents on the dollar, thus your investors lose pretty much all their money. But then as an incentive, we're going to give you a crazy-ass stock deal that if you stick around for a year or 2 years or 3 years, you'll make a shitload of money. Because that is part of like an employment agreement, technically that is a side deal, and that cuts out the investors. There are 2 schools of thought. Michael Arrington, former TechCrunch founder, angel VC now, was an investor in Goala, and he basically wrote an article on Uncrunch saying, yeah, I don't think this is very cool. We've seen this in the past. It's actually pretty shady. But there are other investors like super angel Ron Conway who says, what's the point? This company was a dead man walking zombie company anyway. It was going to go down to zero. If the employees get something, let them get something. Now, my take is this. These are the VCs who are supposed to be risk takers, and we got balls the size of, whatever is big.
Grapefruits.
Whatever. And these are the guys who came up like with the cram down. What is the cram down? It's when the VC comes and goes, these are the terms of the deal, we're going to cram it down your throat. These are the freaking people we're talking about. So if they are going to get basically screwed here and there, when they basically mastered the art of screwing, so be it. You can't talk a big game about being risk takers, gunslingers, cowboys,
and then want to deal with the consequences of risk.
So for me, it's like if you're going to go invest in the 15th geolocation crap, link shortening stupidity, well, understand that there's nothing really that defensive about it. And if you're not going to be number one and Foursquare is going to kick your ass, you're going to end up walking, as if you got punched in the nutsack. If you can't live with that, don't be a VC, don't call yourself an angel. Go work for a bank or the government. So my problem, again, is this notion that we're these big risk takers and we thrive for risk when they're actually sometimes, you know what. Okay, email of the week.
Email of the week. Helen from Austin asks, do you think we'll see more or less web IPOs over the next year?
Over the next year, you'll see less, but you'll see the biggest one of them all, Facebook. I mean, this year you saw LinkedIn, Demand Media, Groupon, Pandora, and Zynga. It was the return of the web IPO. I think by and large, to be fair, there were successful IPOs, but to also be fair, all of those 4 are trading for less. LinkedIn, 84 to 74. Demand Media, 22 to 7. Groupon, 26 to 21. Pandora, 17 to 11. Zynga. Zynga at least is sort of taking a lesson and going to price itself lower than what a lot of people thought. But at the end of the day, this was a successful year. It brought back liquidity via IPOs. I think next year, you're going to see, like I said, less IPOs, but a huge one via Facebook. Living Social just raised a ton of money. The companies are raising a lot of money. I think this year you saw a lot more IPOs than M&A. I think next year you might see a lot of M&A over IPOs, but Facebook is definitely going to set the stage. Now, the only thing with Facebook that's interesting is it's going to be the biggest IPO since Google. Google had $6 billion in revenues, and it went to IPO at $25 billion valuation. Facebook also has $6 billion in revenue, but it's going to go out at a $100 billion valuation. So obviously that means investors are very bullish both on Facebook and the Times. Is that a sign of the future that Facebook is going to rise in value, or is that a sign of the future that Facebook is also going to mimic these 4 companies and trade downwards? We shall see.
Well, we'll see how well they can absorb the Goala talent and how effective memology is.
It's all about the Goala talent, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, so that was episode 18.
Next week, no plaid. We'll coordinate a bit better, and hopefully your eyes aren't hurting too much.